auditioned for the Coen Brothers for Miller's Crossing, and I got it. And that moment of getting your first A-list movie with Gabriel Byrne and that insanely beautiful cast, it's certainly not a sense of having made it, but a sense of having been seen, because that's what every actor wants, is to, maybe every person actually, is to be seen. I don't think of myself as famous. I go to the grocery store and I pretty much do whatever I want. But I tell you, the second I'm in an argument with anybody, that's when you realize, hold on, honey, you can't just be in an argument in public, because people will notice and it will go places you don't want it to go. I think people need to educate themselves about what that means. It doesn't mean all my kids are gay. It doesn't mean all my kids are trans, because they're not, or like sleep with whomever. It doesn't mean that. It means they identify with the philosophy of love. That's really what it means. There's 1,000 different ways to love. When I think back on my mother, now that the experience of my mother's Alzheimer's has space between it, I actually remember my mother mostly with the vitality and the joy and the artistic capabilities that she had. I don't think of her in this state of Alzheimer's, which is a state of being vacant. And I'm so glad, because all of those gifts that she gave me and my friends. I mean, my friends all remember my mother. Those are the things we remember. And I even have friends that go, when I have fresh flowers in my house, I think of your mother. They're not saying they think of me. They're like, I think of your mother. And I love that. I really love that. She was a beautiful woman, and I like remembering her as she would like to remember herself. I love thinking about the morning show in terms of how it portrayed women, because so much of what we experienced was women portrayed as mothers, or women portrayed as searching for the guy. It wasn't reflective of really who we are outside of those things. And I think this is reflective of new people writing scripts that isn't their focus. So previous scripts are written by men, so how do you see women? And now these scripts that we were doing for that show are written by women, how do you see yourself? And it's not saying you can't pursue a love story or whatever, you can't have a kid in it, but it wasn't the focus, which is a really enlightening thing. And so it was smart. The women were really, really smart. And there were more of them than there were men, and the show's very successful. The combination of being able to have it all, have children, have a career, have, not have a husband, is a real palpable thing. Hundreds of thousands of women, millions and millions of women do, in this country. So why aren't we showing those stories? I love thinking about what's next, because it's the unknown. When I want the next chapter, it's the unknown, it's the unexpected. I have recently just launched a children's 30-minute mindful bedtime podcast called Snories, with my niece who's in her 30s now. And it's teaching kids affirmations and grounding techniques, and then a beautiful fairy tale with Foley, and it's a story from around the world, and then we end with meditations. My kids recently said to me, Mom, you need to do the kind of movies that we would want to watch. I'm like, what? But which means they want me to do something kind of scary and edgy and horror-y. And so I'm trying to open myself up to scripts that don't necessarily jump off the page, but that I need to really go, what is this? This is interesting, this is different. I want to knock myself a little bit out of being staid and predictable in my work. I want to try to stay unpredictable.